Okay, for the upgrades, the first thing I want to cover are the templates. Some of the upgrades in the templates are things you really are going to want to see. So GDR5, let me just show you an example. Okay, and we've been listening to you. We've had a lot of people ask for this, looping video that can go full width, okay? So very specifically, people have been asking for that. Now, if I take my mouse off the screen and let it finish what it's doing, it moves on to the next. And you can see that I intentionally set the sliders for different speeds so that you can see how they operate. Of course, if you hover, it will stop moving and it will just sit still. Okay, and then you can decide what you're doing from there. But anyway, take a look. Now, a lot of people will say this, especially when it comes to the looping video. There are a lot of people that say this. I love the looping video, but I want two more things. One, can we turn off the top stuff so that the looping video literally starts at the top of the screen? Okay. And two, I want this to be able to drag down so I can drag it down. That way I can just put my own, contact us information or whatever it is, learn more here button on the looping video and lower that down. The answer is that's all perfectly under control. You can do that. Let me just show you really quick. So if I were to log in, okay, let me open that in a new tab. Okay, this is the top bar, right? And that's the navigation bar. So watch this. If I go to global settings, theme settings, where most of the stuff is, I am going to turn off the header, the top bar, and the navigation. I'm just going to disable them and hit update. Now, because of that, they're disabled. And this is therefore the effect. Okay. Now, the only other question is, what about being able to, or the next question, what about being able to lower down the video as far as you want? The answer is that's there too. Typography, it's not in there right now, but it will be very soon, like the next 24 hours. There will be an option in the banner style where you can change the height of that banner block. All right, the same way that we have it right now in the new-ls templates. If I go there, ls5, I think it's this one. There's different versions by now, but let me just go and check. ls3, they're all kind of a little different, but if I were to come, I believe it's here. Let's just see. Yeah, banner image height, however high in pixels you want it to be, just change it, okay? And then when you change it, you can save the changes, right? And well, we're going to do the same here. So if you said this isn't as high as you want it, you can lower it so it can do whatever. It can fill out the entire page if you really want, okay? And it can say whatever you want, like on the video. I just put some wording on the last slide with just some odd color scheme real fast, just so you can see you can control the size of the font, the type of the font, the color of the font. I just threw them in. It's incredibly easy to do, right? If I go back and just take a look. This is the banner slider. And it is enabled. Okay, so the first one I set for a slide delay time of 5 seconds, and it just happens to be playing the video because there's a video there, image or not, it's playing the video. Okay, I could put a heading in, I could put paragraph text in, I could include a button and have it linked somewhere. So that's the button text, like contact us, and then that could be the link to the contact us page. Okay, then the next one, slider delay time of whatever I wanted. Okay, and it happens to be this image, okay, which I just browse to get, just go here, go find it, I had it, just double click the one you want, and there you go. Okay, like banner one, I would just double click it, right? Bam, like that, that's it. And then I would just put in whatever I want. And then another one, and then finally, slide delay time, I just put in a long time so you could see it, right? That's when you get to the last image and you want it to sit still so people can read it and interact. And I just put, you will love your new garage doors, contact us, and there's the link. If you wanted to add more, just add more. And you can just decide the delay time and everything. You can even go decimals on delay time. So if you have looping videos that are like 3.5 seconds long or 8.5 seconds long, something like that, then you can actually do that. You can put 8.5 or 8.4. You can fine tune it to make it look really, really good when it plays. Okay. Now you can decide heading, paragraph, button, text, and link. Now I'm going to delete that. Okay. And you can also just grab these and reorder. So you can put them in whatever order you really wanted them in. So if I really wanted this to be the first thing, and I said maybe that would have like 3 seconds. And then, this would have 5. Well, who knows, whatever. I can do that, right? So I can go ahead and upgrade that. Now, this part I'm pointing out because it has to do with conversions. A lot of people literally want to test what their hand at different sorts of things like this. Of course, when you hover over the banner, the slider stops moving, right? That way you can focus on what's going on. But yeah, you can do combinations. You can have more than one video, more than one image in any combination you want. Okay, and then the rest of the page can be down here, just acting however you want. That color's off, but it's easy to change all this sort of thing. These colors are off too. How do you change them? Under typography. If you look just in the banner section alone, okay, there's the heading color, you know, the paragraph color. Oh, that's new LS5. That's the other one. So let me close out of that. Okay, thought that wasn't looking right. Let me come down to the banner. Right there. Yeah, there's heading 1 color, paragraph fonts, heading fonts, paragraph color, banner text font, and the colors for everything having to do with the button and the hover colors, even when you just hover over the buttons, right? So, you know, you can control everything. The colors of the wording change from blue to black. The color of the button goes from green to red. The border color goes from like a light green to a white, and it clicks through. You can literally do it, and slider by slider can actually have different information, buttons, different colors, whatever you, well, the same color scheme for header, paragraph, and buttons, because that makes sense. But you can actually have different verbiage, and your buttons can point to different places, slider by slider, if you really wanted to. And, you know, it's just strategy. It's up to you. Okay, so that's the bit about looping video and being able to go full width and full height if you want. Let me go ahead and throw the header back on. I want to make some other points. Update. Okay. Now, what else? Let's talk about something more interesting. Let's go to the general settings. Okay. We have built in canonical URLs. I mentioned this in the last video. I'm just showing you again. And you can choose whether those URLs should or should not include www in them. What's that mean? If I view the page source, okay, at the top, I can see the URL. If I wanted www to be in that URL, then I can change that setting to yes. I personally don't in this case because that's a subdomain anyway. I wouldn't tend, since I'm doing subdomain runs, to put it on, or I wind up with what's kind of a doubled up URL, right? It's www.gdr5.theme2html.com. That's perfectly okay. Sort of unusual, but it's perfectly okay. You can do it. It will work. As long as it clicks through, you're fine. Point of canonical URLs taken out on this. This stuff is important. Just the very act of using them forces Google to realize how you want the link juice for all the www versus non pages. So instead of treating them differently, it treats them the same. And then if you have any other way that your pages appear under different URLs, Google can treat it the same way. Especially if you're doing different pages that are just different but shouldn't be. Then what's the point? Google adds up all the link juice and pulls them together into the one page you're specifying, and that's the one they're showing also on the index. This tends to increase your rank 3 positions. So if you're on page 2, number 7, and then you go ahead and include canonical URLs into your work, then you will probably wind up on page 2, number 4, okay, on average. And that's your keyword by keyword by keyword. If another keyword is on page 3, number 1, it can wind up around page 2, number 8. If another keyword's on page 1, number 8, it could be page 1, number 5 or 6. Okay. Now, keep in mind, that's an average. Okay. But the fact of the matter is this increases your rank, all right, because it narrows the link juice channels down to the appropriate pages, and also it helps Google understand what you really want. Okay, and so Google has higher confidence for ranking you higher, so that's one score. Let's look at a different score, and that's schema. All right, schema means what? Oh yeah, let me refresh this now that I have the okay. It means that if we do a particular service, residential garage doors or whatever, by the way, I don't like that yellow, it's driving me a little nuts, so let me just change it. I don't want it to be that color. I can change it to anything if I want. I'll just make it that color for now. I'm not matching it. I auto match it. That would look better, but at least that looks okay. Okay, here's the point. When I'm looking at, oh, that's an H2. I should do the same thing for that. Or another color. It doesn't really matter. But again, it just makes it easier to read. Okay, so yeah, the next thing is this. If I'm looking at a particular service, and that's what this is, residential garage doors, then the service would be what? Like residential garage door repair or whatever it is I want for the, for this page, for this particular service. If I right click and hit page source, okay, then if I do a search on this page for schema, Schema, I see this huge block of schema, okay? And this huge block of schema is extremely powerful. This usually drives your rank up about 7 positions on average, okay? So that means if you're on page 3, number 8, now you're on page 3, number 1. If you're on page 2, number 8, now you're like on page 2, number 1. If you were on page 2, number 1, now you're like on page 1, number 4. Okay, keyword by keyword by keyword, every keyword's showing up in a different place. And so that's the idea. But anything that is directly related to this concept of schema, okay, Google's going to rank you higher for using it. So what's that mean? Let's start adding. An improvement of about 7 spots per keyword on average, plus an improvement of about 3 spots per keyword on average, adds up to a whole page. Okay, about 10 spots on average. Just by adding the right kind of coding, you can drive your rank up. Now, before I forget, there's one more great benefit to this, and that's that we can stick aggregate rating in here. We can decide what your overall rating for your service should be, and how many reviewers there were, and your average price range, which helps people determine, and helps Google determine if people look up cheap, whatever, plumber or cheap garage door repair, well, that would be a price range of like 1 or 2. If people just say garage door repair, oh, that's, 2, 3, or 4. If people say elite garage door repair, nice words like that, top of the line garage door repair, whatever it is, then that would be a price range of 4 or 5. Okay, so this really helps you niche and therefore rank even better for specific terms that make sense for which you were saying, hand in the air. We fit that perfectly. If you need somebody emergency garage door repair, they slammed the truck into the building at work at 2 in the morning and they can't just leave because people go walk in and take stuff off the shelves. Then you can specify your opening hours are Monday through Sunday with no hours, and that flatly means to Google, you're there. So if somebody is doing the search at 2 a.m., there you are. Okay. Schema is used for about everything you could possibly sell. Any kind of a product, online or offline. Okay. Any kind of service, online or offline. All right. There is schema for about everything. You can go and look up pretty much anything you can think of. schema.org. Okay. Do a keyword search. Just go ahead, and as you search, you can look for things that have to do with what you sell and offer. Events, recipes, probably anything that you can define. You can go ahead and do it. And by the way, if it doesn't exactly exist, what do? You just come up with names for what it is and use them. You could say type is this. You can say the name of the item is that, the URL, the email, the telephone, the opening hours, whatever you want. But you can say the type is an ebook. The service is home-based income. Okay, you can do that if you want. Okay, you can just create this stuff so that Google knows what type means and therefore what your page is about and the brand and the product. You're telling Google, this page is about a product. This page is about a service. This page is about recipe. This page is about this industry. Okay, and that just helps Google understand what's going on. Same with Bing and Yahoo, Yandex. Okay, now, so we've just explained 2 cool things you can do that do what? They can get you on an average of a page higher in rank, keyword by keyword by keyword. Okay, from like page 3 position 4 to page 2 position 4, page 2 position 4 to page 1 position 5 or 4. There you go. Now, having said that, the next thing I want to point out also is, well, actually we did, and that's the star ratings are useful. Star ratings help your link get clicked on, whether it's at the top or not. And again, this was the example we were using before. And if I said a specific service, okay, see this? See that? That's a star rating. 4.9 with 7 reviews. How did they get that into their page? The exact same way. View page source, control up, Schema. Okay, and they did it in a sort of roundabout fashion, but it's there. Okay, there you go. So that's the exact same thing we're talking about, and that is how you employ it. By the way, I was just picking on it. Tons of companies do this in every single industry. You should know it, and you should be able to utilize it so that you can keep up, because it really is important to do. Now, the next thing we're going to discuss has to do with the toolbar, okay? And that's going to be showing you how to create internal linking throughout all your web pages, which also boosts your rank. But more specifically, it helps Google really understand what each and every page is supposed to be for. So yeah, you're boosting your rank, but specific to all of that, you're doing it by creating internal linking throughout. That's also great when customers are on your page. Okay, if they happen to be on one or another of your pages, okay, and they're reading about what you do, all this stuff helps. But then also in here, if you happen to say something like, we provide emergency services, emergency services, if that's the name of a web page you have on your site, then that will link to that web page automatically. Okay, so I'm going to show you that when I show you the toolbar and show you how that interacts with the page. Now, the two things I want to point out, the new version, if you're getting these templates, there's two versions you're getting. One is the GDR themed HTML5, and it has 4 different templates built into it. Okay, this is really, really nice. Okay, you can use these templates for anything. In case you don't know, how do you change a template from one industry to any other, online or off? Well, there are only a few things to change. You change the images, okay? And you can go to google.com/images to look up images, okay? Somebody once said garage door repair, okay? Somebody once said, how do you decide what images to use? There are a lot of ways to do that. Most of these images are not copywritten, but even beyond that, you can take a drawing tool and just draw a square within a square, and you actually make it a different image. The biggest rule of thumb is don't use an image where we really have some company's name on the shirt, for instance, or name on the side of the truck, some other company. The other way to go, if you want to be more specific, is to go to Shutterstock.com, and this means that you can buy royalty-free images without question. So if we do the same thing here, garage door repair, okay, and we look for images, okay, we're going to find them. Now, they all say Shutterstock, so you can't copy them, but as soon as you buy them, they'll be good to go. Now, I've had a lot of people say, well, if you take a look, actually, you recognize this on our garage door website, right? That's this one right here, okay? So I've had a lot of people say, where do we get our images? We get them from Shutterstock. And also, many of the images you find on Google Images came from Shutterstock. There's different variations of the same ones, okay? Having said all that, let me step back. So what does it take to change a template from one industry to another? Change the images, change the wording, okay, to your new thing, whatever it is, okay, the content, change the logo, okay, and change the color scheme if you want. And for color scheme, of course, that's what our whole typography is all about anyway. So you can just switch between these and see what these look like, right? So if I just refresh, and I can see what it looks like now with the new information here, okay? Very different, all right? Tons of control though, and all of your stuff is in here. Okay, there you go. There's that one, and then what else comes with that set? The new -LS5, right? Which is also awesome. Different in that instead of having the full width banners, it's got banner blocks. This is for people who want to get sub-menu links out of the sub-menus onto the page in a sensible way. This way you can have even more buttons to click on that are visible right when you land on the page without having to click on anything in particular. And by the way, if you're wondering, well, are these kind of too small? Everything can be dealt with. See the read more links? They can be turned off. See the automotive locksmith link? The words can be made larger, the letters, right? The whole thing can be made larger. Or you can turn it off and just have the buttons if the buttons by themselves say something they need to say. And also, every case where you see two, it could just be one big one. Okay, so how do these look on the inside? Because again, choices. There are there are four in this case. And let me just show you what some of this kind of looks like. Look at that. It would be sub-menu links, but they stand out, and they're pretty easy to read, right? That's the thing. It's pretty clear and easy to read, and you could have more images in here, okay? You can turn off a stack or turn on a stack of these banner blocks. You can turn on or off the number that you have. What was that, 1 and 2, I think? So I could go with like 3 and 9 just to show you the other two. Okay, look at this. We just did this so you can see what's possible. Here's all the links across the top. Here's the banner blocks. By the way, since you can decide how many banner blocks and you can decide whether to flip them on the left or right or both, and you can decide the banner height for the banner, then yes, the other template you were just staring at and this one are the same template. It's just arranged differently so you immediately understand what you can do without trying to visualize it. Okay, and just give you the last one. That way, you can just work with these, however you want. Okay, and there you go. This last one, looping video. That's cool. If I turn these off, the looping video goes all the way across. If I want these on both sides, I can do it, and the looping video is in the middle. Again, you can adjust the height, and so you can add and subtract buttons and still make the bottom match. Okay. Other than that, template's the same. Change the words, the items in the sidebar, your content, maybe your color scheme, your images, and there you go. You've completely changed it for industry, any industry you want, and that's our job. By the way, for those of you who just wonder if we do that for you, like just set one up. Whoops. Let me just show you that real quick before I continue. Okay. So if we go to building blocks right here, okay, this is to do one for you. We change the colors, we change the images, we change the content to something generic. We don't do copywriting in here. We include the hosting with the cPanel, okay, and we do a lot of things. We make sure that it has no errors on an HTML validation check. We make sure that that you're able to create and copy and export unlimited versions of it for free. Okay, there's a number of things that are awesome about this particular package. And then if you wanted to get 3, there's a deal for getting 3. Okay, this and this are the same thing. This is just 3 of them. Okay, so that's my plug. Just wanted to point that out real quick. All right, and then get back to what we're doing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show, let me just make sure I covered all of this, right? A full width canonical link schema. Oh, yeah. Check this out. This is another thing that's really, really cool. Whichever place I go, let me see. I got to find the schema. Yeah, I put the schema in here, right? Control-Alt, Control-C. Mentioned it before. I want to mention it again. We built schema with global variables built in. The purpose of global variables is so that we can change the wording we want in one place and it affects the related pages. Okay, and when you do mass productions of website, you're going to have a list of things. Probably the type will be the same, like plumber, 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 but the image will be different for one company versus the next, maybe. The city could be different, the state name, the zip code, the address, the business name, the URL, the email, the phone, the hours, okay, and the schema rating for best, average, and review count, and the general costiness, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and whatever credit cards are accepted. So you can actually create stacks of websites that have the right information for each one. Later, I'm going to show you how we can download, for example, a couple of hundred listings from Reference USA from one particular industry. And when we download the records, we're downloading company names, addresses, phone numbers, websites, different things, particular categories and subcategories, things that they do. And we can produce that information into a file and convert it for use with T2HA and just generate a bunch of websites for them. And if you're thinking, well, they're not going to be happy with that until I get their approval, well, how do you think most people do it? They generate the websites with the indexing turned off. Okay, I'll just show you global settings. Can crawler index? Crawlers, right? That's the robots from Google and Bing and Yahoo and so on. Can they index or not? No. That means the pages will flatly tell anyone who comes to them. Yeah, I'm going to say one. View page source. It will say right here, meta name robots, content equals no index. All the pages will say, do not index me. And what that means is that these pages will not show up on Google intentionally, so that you can just use them for demo purposes or for display purposes. You can show people what you did and see if they're interested without, and that way you can truly show their content. You can even copy paste it on. You're not presenting it. It's not available for anyone to see except for the people who know the link. Okay, so that is how you can actually set up a couple of hundred demo sites at once, and then just contact those companies and say, hey, we set up a demo site for you. Take a look. If you're interested, contact me and I'll talk about it more. Let's see what we can do for you. So talk about just sending out a quick email for something you did in no time at all right, automatically. That's the stuff that we're doing now. So I'm going to get into that more as I continue. But there you go. Now, what else? So using internal links, toolbar, external links, canonicals, schema, yeah. Well, by the time we're done talking, you're going to see how you have an average 2-page increase on your main keywords. I got to cover the rest of the items though. Okay, so schema global variables. I explained that. Oh yeah. Last thing I want to say while I'm in here, for those of you that understand this, okay, bulk export utility, and this is tremendous power, right? This is where you take the template you're on, or whatever template you have in this panel. You can do it across all these templates in this panel, okay? And you can create as many websites as you want, okay, very easily. And you can have it notify you when it's done creating them, okay? You just click and drag in one or more Excel files that you set up for this to run, and then you decide, are you going to skip subdomain creation or not, you know? And there are 3 choices. Do not skip subdomain creation means while you're making these websites for any subdomain, you know, for all the subdomains, go ahead and create them, all right? If you already created the subdomains, like maybe if you use the software installer tool and you ran ahead and created them, then this can run faster. If you say no, it takes about 2 minutes to produce each website. So if you had like 200 websites, it'll be 200 times, I'm sorry, did I say 2 minutes? It's 3 minutes each. So it'd be like 200 websites times 3 minutes is 600 websites. So it would take like 10 hours. So you let it run all night. But it'll run. It'll create your 200 websites with, you know, like 20 pages each or even 1,000 pages each. You know, literally, we've tested it up to about 1,000 pages, okay, per row. And it'll do it 3 minutes each, okay? Now, but it's on a timer. It takes 3 minutes. Now, if you ran ahead to the software installer tool, you can create subdomains really, really fast, like 15 every 2 minutes or 150 every 20, like 600 subdomains in an hour. Okay, so what I say, like, you know, 15 in 2 minutes is what? 150 in 20. So then what? Like 30 at the most, heck, 25. You would have created all the subdomains. Then when you run it this way in here, okay, it's not going to create the subdomains. It's just going to upload everything, make it live. It takes 1 minute per row. So this is 3 times slower. This is faster, right? This takes about 3 minutes per row, per website. And this takes about 1, okay? Now, this is even faster, or about the same as this, but often faster. And that's this. This does the same sort of, it creates the same sort of layout as doing it with subdomains, except it really did it by the folder. So it doesn't actually create subdomains at all, it just creates folders. So if you have like domain.com/Chicago, domain.com/Denver, domain.com/Atlanta, it'll create those websites into those folders, and everything will be internal to that folder. So even if you're in the folder domain.com/Chicago and you hit the logo to go to the home page, it goes to domain.com/Chicago. But if you're in the domain.com/Denver folder and you hit the home button or the logo, it goes to domain.com/Denver. This is really, really awesome for showing for being able to set up a bunch of demos with people's real information so they can really feel out what their website could be like for them. And then if they like it, they can call you, talk about it. Easy template sales, easy, okay? Or just set them up for yourself so you can get a lot of backlinking going on, right? Or a lot of clients, run a lot of stuff out. It's completely up to you how you use it. Or create a lot of businesses and pump them into your directories. Okay. Coolest thing about this is you can put websites on as many domains as you want. Okay. And on as many subdomains, add-on domains, subdomains on add-on domains, or in folders. Okay. It's literally up to you. The only word to the wise is if you're creating runs that go onto the root page of the website, use the subdomain version for that. Don't mix that in with your folder runs. That's it. That's the only thing. Okay. So there you go. Now, again, if you got questions about that kind of thing, let me know. I'll do a video on that later. But in the meantime, just understand it's there, it's possible, it's powerful, and that's what you need for that. So next, I'm going to break off this recording and get into the toolbar next. And that's where I'm going to tie in what the toolbar can do now with this. Because the first thing we're going to do is make all of those pages interlink to each other based on the keywords. So if I have residential garage doors, then if I'm seeing residential garage doors here in the wording, it should have a link to the residential garage doors page. Then if I'm also saying commercial garage doors, a garage door repair, garage door springs, in here, in the wording, it should link. Okay, not just that, but if I'm on some other page and it talks about, garage door openers on this page, then there should be a link to the garage door openers page. So if we go through every single page and interlink whenever possible, but with a max number that we can set per page so that the pages don't look funny if there are too many links, then the fact of the matter is we have done something called internal linking. Internal linking itself raises your website's rank about 3 positions per keyword because Google loves clear, structured information, not to be confused with structured data, that schema. But internal linking makes it easier and easier as people are reading to understand which thing goes with which thing. Okay? And so that we want to be able to do. Now, whether you have a 5-page site or a 60-page site, you can literally take care of the internal linking with our toolbar in like a minute, just for the whole website. And then if you create more pages later, you just run it again and it updates everything, all the pages with all the new links that are possible, up to the max per page that you set. All right, I'll show you that in the next video when we walk over what we've done with the T2HA toolbar. It's really powerful. So just keep in mind, these are things that make websites rank hard, much better, much faster, stronger over the competition. And what we're doing now is more and more of this sort of automation. So by the time I'm done, you're going to see how to build an empire of constantly rising websites. Okay, literally that's what this video series is all about and what the offers are geared to accomplish. This is what 2017 is going to be for all of us. Okay. I'll see you on the next video.